This is an explanation of the rest of CAMI Week 4. So the target for page 4 is to add integers. And so it says determine the sign of the answer. And there was a little typo here that should be the word the. And thank you, Jacob, for that. So if both integers are positive, then the sum is positive. If both integers are negative, then the sum is negative. If one integer is negative, and the other is positive, the sum is the sign of the number with the greater absolute value. And so I'm going to stop right there and turn these into circles. So if we have, let me change the color here back to black. So this is a circle, and this is a circle, and we were to, let's say we'll use yellow for positive and fill that in. Oh, you know what? I think I've figured this out. I want to highlight not text, but just box. So if I just go like that and like that, nope, you know what? I want it to be freehand. So let's, all right, you know what? I am going to try this another way. I'm going to draw with yellow. So we'll just do this. There we go. Okay, so if that's yellow and that's yellow, then this is even more yellow. A positive and a positive makes it even bigger. We kind of did that in our presentation. And if I change it to red, if we have some red and we add it to some more red, so some negative plus some more negative, it makes it even more negative, and so that's even bigger. And if we have, I'm going to make 2 examples here. Go back to black. So we'll make a box here. We'll just stick with boxes so that it's consistent with the rest of it. Okay, if we're going to combine a positive, and I'll make it kind of big, with a negative, and I'll make it kind of small, then the result is positive but not as much. It takes some of that positive away, so I'll make it kind of smaller. If we have a positive that we're going to combine and it's kind of small with a negative that's, with a negative that's pretty big, a lot of negative, long ways from 0, then some of this positive cancels some of this. It reduces it. So the answer is negative, but it is closer to 0. So that's the pictures that we talked about this week in our presentation. So let's see what that has to do over here. Let me go back to drawing with green. Okay, so if the integers have the same sign, add the absolute value. So it makes it get bigger. So that's what we were doing here. We're adding it, and we're adding it, and it's getting more. If the integers have different signs, then subtract. The lesser absolute value from the greater absolute value and use the determined sign. So what this says right here is subtract, make it smaller, and use the sign of whichever one is bigger. This one is bigger, so that's the sign, it's positive. This one was bigger, so that's the sign, the answer is negative. Find the sum using integer chips. So we're going to go with red. So if we have, whoops, there we go. If we have one red and 4 more reds, then we have a total of 5 reds. So that's going to be -5. And how that might look on the number line is we would start at -1. So I like to start at 0 and go to the first number. So 0, go to -1, and then it says add, which sends me this direction, but it's negative, so I'm going to change directions and go 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how we get to -5. To add 6 plus a -3, I'm going to get 6 positives, so 6 yellows. And I'm going to kind of speed up the coloring here. And 3 negatives. And I can cancel out pairs of these. So that could cancel with that. That's a plus, that's a minus, that's a plus, that's a minus. Those are what we call 0 pair. And so the answer is right there. And the answer would be 3. On a number line, I'm going to start at 0 and go up to 6. So start at 0, go to 6. And then it says to add, which sends me to the right, but it's the opposite, -3. So I'm going to go this direction to get to that 3. So adding goes this direction. So adding goes that way. But if it's adding a negative, then we flip it around the other direction and we go this direction. So I'm going to use the number line here. I'm going to start at 0, go to -1. I'm adding, going to the right, but it says negative, so I change direction and go 2 more to right there. -3. Start at 0, go to 7, add a -3, 1, 2, 3, gets me to 4. Start at 0, go to -4, add 1. I'm this time adding a positive, so I am going to go to the right, so that's -3. Start at 0, go to -2, and then add 5 more negatives, taking me to -7. Again, adding's to the right, the negative changes my direction. Start at 0, stay at 0, add, the negative sends me this direction to -6. I'm going to do the rest of these without explanation, just to speed it up a little bit. All right, Ken withdrew $15 from his account on Thursday and then deposited $10 to his account. So which number should be negative? The $15, because it was withdraw. And so we're going to do a -15, and then he added in 10. So what integer represents the total change in his account? So -15 combined with 10, the signs are different, so we find the difference, and how much he took out is more than how much he added in, so it's going to be a -5. That's going to represent the change in his account, -5. Kelly was at a 2-day golf tournament. Her first score was -3. On the second day, her score was a -4. What was her overall score for the entire tournament? She scored a -7 because we have a negative combined with another negative, and so it's even more negative. Lisa Lisa climbed 8 stairs, so she went up 8 stairs and then went down. I'm adding a -9. What integer represents her total change in height? Combined together, we're going to get -1. Okay, we're at the target subtract integers. So subtract integers by adding the opposite. That is one way you can think of it. Add the opposite. And you follow the rules for adding integers. So I'm going to start at 0 and go to -2. And then subtraction takes me to the left, but this is subtracting a positive amount. So I'm going to, or no, excuse me. Let me erase this right here. We don't need to do this. Let me not complicate that any further. I'm just going to keep going. Subtracting takes me to the left. I don't have to change directions, so I'm just going to go to the -5. All right, I'm going to color in 5 negatives. And then I'm going to remove 4 of those. I'm not going to use this over here. This is not going to be part, I'm just going to do that. That's not part of this. I'm going to remove, I'm going to think of that as removing. Okay, so to subtract is to remove 4 of them. These are negatives. So I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have 1 left. I'm going to use the number line. We can write an addition problem by adding the opposite. So this could become 5 plus a -7. So we could do 5 plus, the negative sends us back this direction to -2. This could become -2. The first one stays the same. The opposite of this is 3. So this is -2 plus 3. So the answer on that is 1. Adding the opposite, -1. The opposite of 6 is -6. So -1 and -6 is -7. So we start at 0, go to -1, and then go 6 more to -7. This could be seen as 1 plus the opposite of this is 2. So this is the exact same problem as going to the 1 and then going 2 more to the 3. So this would be 8, the opposite of 13. So we're just turning that into an addition, and the opposite of 13 is -13. We would start at 0, go to 8, and then add, but it's negative, so that takes us all the way back down to -5. All right, and the last page, I'm just going to write in these answers. Be sure that you check with me if something here is surprising, and you're still not understanding it. And then there's lots of different answers on this last one, lots of different answers, infinite number of answers, but I'll write a subtraction problem that involves two positive integers and has a negative answer. So if I do something smaller and then bigger, like 2 minus 6, those are both positive, and the answer is negative. There's lots of different correct answers. Write a subtraction problem that involves two negative answers and has a negative answer. So I have to be careful here that I am subtracting a smaller amount of negative from a larger amount of negative. So if I do negative 10 minus a negative 8, I'm at negative 2. If I would have done, for example, negative 3 minus a negative 5, that would have went up into the positive. So that one wouldn't have counted. So we have to make sure the absolute value of this number is greater than the absolute value of this number, so we end up still in the negative. And then write a subtraction problem that involves two negative integers with a positive answer. It looks like I just did that. Negative 3, subtract 5 negatives. And I'm going to do, just as I finish this up, I'm going to draw 3 negatives. And we're going to have one more example of zero pair. So there's 3 negatives. Subtraction means that I get rid of. I'm supposed to get rid of 5 of these. I only see 3 of them there. So I'm going to put 2 more pairs. I have to put them in pairs. I cannot just put them up there and add them because that'll change the value. So I can put this as red, but I immediately, it's out of balance, and I have to rebalance it by putting this negative right here. And I need to put, I can put one here, but immediately at the same time, I need to put one here. Okay, now I can do this. I'm going to subtract 5 of these. 5 of these negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you hear the funny sound in the background, that is my dog rolling around on the ground. Sorry for that distraction, but sometimes she just has to scratch her back. So there it is. All right. That is the explanation of CAMI Week 4.